Wangfire here, and today I want to talk about one of my absolute favorite new shows, the League of Legends Netflix series, Arcane, and the many factors that make it the best new show of 2021 in my opinion. A little background, I started playing League of Legends back in 2012 and played it near daily until around 2016 when I moved on to other titles with occasional comebacks throughout the years, and I recently returned to the game not long before Arcane was released. And I'm currently playing almost every day, so I am well acquainted with the world's settings and the characters from the game that made an appearance here, and had a really easy time getting immersed in it. Though this series is so well crafted, I truly believe you can fully enjoy it without any prior knowledge, which is an impressive feat. Arcane is set in the city of Progress Piltover and its dark Undercity, which immediately gives off an interesting duality to the series, getting to see both points of view, the elitist society of Piltover and the Undercity that's just barely scraping by. They're technically all part of the same city, but it's very apparent throughout the series how little the leaders of Piltover care to help fix the problems the people face there, and it makes for an excellent point of conflict for the story and our characters to deal with. Speaking of the story, they did a phenomenal job here. The pacing, the character progression, the events that happen, nothing feels forced here, and that's such a refreshing feeling. I don't want to get into spoilers for the plot itself, as I think this is a story that should be enjoyed going in as blind as possible for maximum enjoyment. But it's exciting, action-packed, filled with emotion, with unexpected twists that keep you guessing and on your toes. I was very literally on the edge of my seat sometimes, and was more than once just left awestruck with my mouth hanging wide open in a gasp. It was exhilarating, and I can't recommend it enough. Act 1, the first 3 episodes, lays out an amazing foundation for Acts 2 and 3 to follow up on, which are set years later after a time skip. Now, my favorite part of the show, the characters themselves. The writers for Arcane deserve every bit of praise they get for the love they put into these characters. None of the main cast feel one-dimensional or flat. They all feel layered and complex, displaying a wide range of emotions and very human reactions to the things going on around them. Even the quote-unquote bad guys in the series show more sensitive sides of themselves. No one here is all good or all evil. No black or white. It's all gray, and that's an important part to really connecting with them and caring for them, I think. I'd like to go a bit more in depth with the characters, starting with my favorite and a true testament to how great the writing is in this series, the scientist Victor. This was a character that before Arcane I cared very little about. I wrote him off as a Doctor Doom ripoff. But the show did such a phenomenal job at fleshing him out that I've done a complete 180 on the character, and he resonates with me deeply on a personal level. He was born with nothing in the Undercity and still has an affliction from growing up there that requires the need of a cane to get around, and no one in Piltover believed someone from the Undercities could succeed. But he never gave up. He believed in himself and became one of the top scientists in the world through his hard work, dedication, genius-level innovations, and his willingness to take risks to make progress. Makes you really root for the guy throughout the story, and it pleases me to no end that the writers made me feel so invested in a character I had zero interest in before. Next up is his partner and inventor of Hextech, Jace. This man wants peace and prosperity for all, but the phrase "the road to hell is paved with good intentions" comes to mind. Though he wants a better life for the people of his city, his sometimes overprotective actions lead to more harm than good for them. It doesn't help he's generally mired by the red tape imposed upon him at first by the Academy and later on the Council of Piltover, and he has to risk it all to prove his life's work is worth it and can change the world for the better. He also shows how even the best people can be brought down to an awful level by corruption. turning a blind eye to some people's crimes and punishing others extremely harshly. I think deep down he is a good guy, but he's inexperienced and naive and doesn't really understand the effect his policies have on the people of his city until he really confronts it face to face, to see with his own eyes the reality for the people of the Undercity, and that made for an excellent progression for him over the course of the series. So at first, I didn't like Mel very much. She seemed very manipulative and only cared about Jace's progress for personal enrichment, and she also pushes him into the more gross aspects of politics, the corruption. But as the series unfolds and her backstory and motivations become more clear, I came to empathize and understand her point of view on things a lot more. She comes from an absolutely brutal part of Runeterra, the warmongering empire of Noxus. The people there are extremely tough and battle hardened. They show no mercy for the weak and will gladly kill each other for status or for familial grudges. She was banished from Noxus for being too compassionate, but still shows some affection for her family and her home, and this duality makes for a wonderful inner conflict to explore. Now for the arguably main characters of the show, the sisters Vi and Jinx. Full disclosure, these two are some of my favorites to play in game, so I was already in love with this duo heading into Arcane, and the show only fortified that even more. Their backstory is absolutely heartbreaking, losing their parents at a young age and being taken in by the Giga Chad of the series, Vander. Don't worry, I'll get to him more in a minute. The relationship and love these two have for each other feels so genuine and so heartfelt, even as the rift between them widens. Vi is a very tough and direct person, overconfident to the point of recklessness, and she never backs down from anyone or anything. Very susceptible to letting her anger take over. Jinx, on the other hand, is more fun and energetic, choosing to spend her time inventing gadgets and getting into mischief rather than direct conflict. She's also sadly extremely mentally unstable, and following her descent into madness with her is a chilling experience. These two are truly the heart of the show, and I loved the way they were depicted here. Now, as promised, I want to gush a bit about how awesome a character Vander was. This guy is the best dad someone could ask for. Adopting Vi and Jinx and the other orphan children in their group and taking care of them, while also simultaneously keeping the peace between Undercity and Topside. He will do anything to protect them, even willing to sacrifice himself if that's what it takes to protect his family and friends. He also has a shady backstory where he's done awful things, but he's trying to do right now, and that's what matters. I'm a sucker for the guy trying to make up for the awful things he's done in the past character trope, and this was an absolute masterclass in that. Caitlyn is an enforcer, one of Piltover's police force, and after she meets Vi, goes on an investigation into the Undercity that really opens her eyes to the reality of life down below and how little the people above really care about them. She's a great person, very selfless and courageous, inquisitive and curious. She just can't keep herself from not pursuing her case, even when she's directly told not to, and I love that part of her character. She's willing to disobey orders to do what she believes is right. Her chemistry with Vi can also not be understated. The two characters' personalities bounce off each other so well, and I love every second they share on screen. Like Victor, I didn't really have any interest in Singed as a character before watching Arcane, but once again, the writers subverted my expectations, and this character was incredibly interesting. A quote-unquote mad scientist with no regards for rules or limitations when it comes to seeking scientific advancement. Seeing his backstory fleshed out a bit, and his almost cold objectification of even living things as test subjects, while also legitimately helping those who ask it from him, made me really like this character now. And a phenomenal contrast to him is the head scientific leader of Piltover, Heimerdinger, who is extremely conservative in pursuit of scientific advancement, preferring to take things slowly out of an abundance of caution and fear of seeing the horrors seen in his very long life unfold once again if powerful technology gets into the hands of bad people. I understand this fear, but it's frustrating seeing his almost complete disconnect with the concept of how short human lives are and how important it is to act in the small time we have. Echo was also a really cool character to be in here. He's a great guy with a huge heart, just trying to do the best he can to make the lives for the people of the Undercity better. Willing to fight when necessary too, and I love that he was best friends with Vi and Jinx growing up, being a fellow orphan adopted by a friend of Vander's. He undergoes probably the most dramatic change in character from Act 1 to the later acts of the show, and considering the circumstances, I can't fault him one bit. Finally, I want to talk about one of the most important characters in the show, the one driving the main conflict. It's brilliantly written antagonist, Silco. This man is ruthless and cunning and will stop at nothing to bring autonomy to the Undercity. He's a villain you love to hate, and he steals every second he's on screen. He's extremely layered, showing many different sides. A gang leader who controls the underworld with drugs and fear, while also showing genuine concern and care for those closest to him. His goal is one you sympathize with and want to see happen, but he goes about doing it in all the wrong and evil ways. He's one of the best villains in all of fiction as far as I'm concerned, and you really need to see him for yourself. I absolutely loved Arcane, and it was an exciting and refreshing way to experience Runeterra, and it helped reignite a long unkindled flame for League of Legends for me. It was, in my opinion, the best thing I've watched all year, and in fact might be my favorite show in the last half decade. It really is that good, and I cannot wait to see what happens in Season 2. Thanks for watching, everyone. Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the show too. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the vid and want to see more like it in the future. Take care, everybody. See you all later. Wayne Fire, out.